3 weeks ago, I quit social media like that. No more Instagram, no more TikTok, no more Facebook, no more LinkedIn. And I have to be real with you, a lot has changed in a very short amount of time. And over the course of these short weeks, it made me ask a much bigger question. That question is, if somebody wanted to purge themselves of social media today, what is something that they could expect? Now, I'm not just talking about your productivity, because obviously if you quit scrolling for 3 to 4 to 5 hours a day, you're going to get some form of productivity back. But I'm talking mentally, spiritually, emotionally. Who would you guys become without all this noise? And so that is something that I have personally for a while been wrestling with. And today I want to share, what has happened to me so far and potentially bring some insight into what could happen to you guys too. Let's set the stage. Now, I, like many of you, have started on social media when Facebook and Instagram had just become a thing. Do you remember a time when social media wasn't about running ads or trying to grow your business? It was simply about connecting with people that either live too far away or you don't see frequently, to be able to connect at least a little bit more on a deeper level, to see a peek into somebody's life a little bit more authentically. That word felt kind of weird coming out of the tip of my mouth. Authentically. Tastes weird. And then, as we all know, it stopped being about connecting with each other. It then became about creating the best highlight reel for yourself online. Who looks like they're living the best life? And then it became about who can get the most attention and how can we monetize that attention. And that's when the dollars started rolling in. Now, I want to be honest. Although I only quit social media 3 weeks ago, it took me 3 freaking years. 3 years to pull the trigger on just saying, screw it, I'm done, I'm out of here. 3 years. And the reality is, that is how addicted I was. I felt like I needed social media. I felt like if I didn't have social media, this is going to suck to say, but if I didn't have social media, I was literally a nobody. Nobody was going to know that I existed if I didn't have it. And that's how you know the people who work over at these platforms are damn good at their job. Now, there have been a lot of shows on Netflix about the insiders with social media platforms, but I myself am a huge proponent of doing digging on something that I don't really know a whole lot about. And it's crazy because as much as I use social media, I don't know diddly about it. I don't know nothing. So, over the past 3 years, off and on, intermittently, I've done my research. And I wanted to compile some statistics, all right? Now, don't get scared, okay? Statistics aren't such a bad thing. It's not a scary word. I'm not going to try and get too Stephen Hawking on you guys here, but these stats, if you just let them sink in for a moment, it is actually terrifying to really think about where social media is at nowadays. So let's dive into it. The first thing I want to really get into is just the scale of social media. And that was kind of the first pillar that I wanted to break down. And to get to that level, we have to figure out how many people are actually addicted. Not just how many people are on social media, because that's in the billions, but how many people are addicted. This is what they do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 hours a day until they go back to sleep. So addicted to where they are not productive in their day-to-day life anymore. That number is 210 million people worldwide. 210 million people worldwide. That is absolutely insane. But if we're not just talking about people who are solely addicted, let's just talk about the average Joe. The average Joe, I'd like to say you and me, but I think I fell into that group of people who were borderline addicted. But the average American spends over 2 hours of their day on social media. Now, if you're like, dude, I spend way more than 2 hours on social media, you might fall in the other group, which is okay. That's why you're watching this video. And if we really, my funny bone, that's not so funny. If we really take social media, right, and we just tear down the veil and we look at the structure of social media, we look at it as it is, bare bones, It is a dopamine-driven reward system. It's like going to a casino and playing the penny slots. It is literally like a slot machine. And that is what these platforms, these companies have utilized and have built these algorithms around. They're intended to provide us with considerably unpredictable rewards. We're talking likes, we're talking comments, and we're talking shares. That dopamine, those short little dopamine hits, that is what these platforms are built around. They are designed to keep users engaged. Now, I've never been addicted to gambling, but the closest thing I can compare this to is when I was younger, I would try and do something super, super cool in hopes that my dad would acknowledge it. No. No one. Nobody. Cool. Got it. Moving on. And although we're aware of it, it's almost like a cognitive blind spot. And what I'm talking about is endless scrolling. These companies have gotten so good that they have blurred the line. They've blurred our ability to recognize any sort of stopping cues. When you think about eating, right? You aren't going to eat until you die. If you did that, you'd be dead. Is that a good example, AJ? We're going to keep rolling with it. When you eat a lot of food, your stomach and your body eventually tells you, hey, AJ, I'm good. Thanks. Put it away. Don't finish it. We'll eat some more when we get hungry again. When you've stayed up for 16 hours straight, your body says, hey, you know what? I think it's time to go to bed. I think it's time to stop being awake. Let's reset. But social media is completely different. With features like an infinite scroll and autoplay videos, it's completely gotten rid of our ability to actually say, hey, we've had enough, let's stop. And I am so guilty of this. I spent 3 hours one time scrolling through TikTok only to look up and find out it was 1 o'clock in the morning and I needed to be up in the next 5 hours. Now, a lot of you guys watching this have probably already tried to make an attempt at stopping social media, and turning this one thing off was probably the first attempt at that. I know it was for me, and that was turning off push notifications. It's such a slight but manipulative way that these social media platforms use to actually draw users back into the app, and they utilize that. Do kids still say FOMO? They really attack our fear of missing out. And there have already been so many studies on the cognitive effects that social media has, sometimes things that we aren't even necessarily completely aware of. Now, I don't want to bore you guys with statistic after statistic. I'm trying to share with you guys the relevant ones that I think probably make the most sense for this conversation. But the one that I noticed that affected me the most was, as I continue to use platforms like TikTok and I consumed more Instagram Shorts. I'm a huge Shorts guy. I love YouTube Shorts, Instagram Shorts, Facebook Shorts. I love TikTok. And I've had to really back off of that because the impact that I've seen is, in terms of my cognitive functions, has been my attention span. I could not hold a conversation for more than maybe 3 or 5 minutes without realizing, oh, I'm bored of this already. And that never felt good because I've always considered myself as somebody who is a people person, and I love to have conversations with people. And so to be at a point now or then where having conversations just burned me out, that didn't feel very good. And I always wondered why, but it wasn't until I actually quit social media I realized that I had a lot of drastic changes with my attention span. And we'll get into that a little bit later here in the video. Now, guys, outside of the effects that social media has on us psychologically, can we just look at the legal battles that these social media platforms have had to face? And rightfully so. Back in 2023, 33 states in the U.S. filed lawsuits against Meta, formerly Facebook. And obviously, what did those lawsuits claim? They claimed that Meta knowingly implemented features that exploited psychological vulnerabilities in youth. And most recently, who else had a little bit of a lawsuit just like that? TikTok. Now, it's clear that people are trying to do something about this epidemic. And yes, I believe it is an epidemic because I think this is getting out of hand. And so this realization that social media is bad, obviously, like I mentioned earlier, took over 3 years for me to finally go ahead and just pull the trigger on it. But the turning point started when I really started paying attention to the analytics. So we just talked through some statistics, but you have a tool right here on your handy dandy smartphone that will tell you exactly how much and where you're spending your time. And when I started looking at that, I was absolutely flabbergasted. I would spend like 5 to 8 hours every single day on social media. Those are platforms that are mixed between Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn. I said TikTok. See? Still got some effects from the social medias. I spent 5 to 8 hours a day. 5 to 8 hours a day. That's almost 25 to 40 hours a week. But I can still do math. I'm beating you, social media, beating you. And I would tell myself lies. I would tell myself lies that, I'm on Instagram because, I'm on it for work. I need to connect with other creatives. I need to post pictures of, our wedding couples, videos of our wedding couples. I need to use it for marketing. And it's just a bunch of bull, if we're being completely honest. It's just a bunch of bull. There are platforms like Meta Business Suite where you can do everything that you need to do through those platforms simply through that. Maybe it's not as intuitive, maybe it's not as addicting, but you can still accomplish the same tasks through that one platform alone. And so that's what I've been trying to do. And over the course of time, just realizing how much of an impact that these platforms are making on me, I started to become so much self-aware, and I started asking myself the question, why does this have to be a part of our lives? Like, why does it have to be? I don't think anything really has to be a part of your life. And I think social media should be looped into that group. Like, really think about it. Why does it have to be? What questions would you guys probably ask, or what things would you have to say in objection to that question? You could say, well, how will I keep in touch with my friends? My argument to that would probably be, well, are they really your friends? Do you need social media to text a friend or to call a friend to check in, and vice versa? Like, if you're not on social media and your friends aren't texting or calling you to check in and see how you're doing, are they really your friends? I would beg to differ they're not. If you're like, well, how's anyone going to know what's going on in my life? Why does anyone have to know what's going on in your life? Why do people have to know what you're doing every waking second? Why do people have to know when you go to Barbados? Or why do people have to know when you go to Italy? Like, why do people need to know that? Those are supposed to be special moments that are for you. Those are experiences that you are giving yourself. Those are for you. Why does it have to be for anybody else? Guys, we have convinced ourselves that we need to be on social media just because that's just the way the world is. Which, in my opinion, is such a piss poor excuse to be addicted. But things over the past 3 weeks, guys, have changed for me dramatically. And there are 3 core things that I have noticed that have really, really changed. The first thing is my relationship with my friends and my family. I've started to learn, over these last 3 weeks, which of my friendships are real and which ones are just out of convenience. I had like friends back in the day who would just send me funny videos on Instagram or Facebook whenever they saw something on social media because they thought of me or they thought I'd like it. That's cool, but that adds no value to this relationship in any way, shape, or form. Why don't you give me a call? Check in on how my kids are doing. Why don't you give me a call and check in on how my wife's doing? Give me a call, see how I'm doing health-wise. What's new in my life? What milestones have I hit in my business or in my personal life? Those are the things that matter. I don't give a rat's booty if you send me a video of Dwight Schrute from The Office. Like, it doesn't mean anything to me. And it was funny because when I did delete my social media, within 24 hours, I had friends already texting me, asking me what happened, if I had blocked them, if something with me health-wise had happened. And I realized, like, okay, these are the people, given the current situation, like, these are the people who care about me. Amazing. And that stood out to me more than, again, any funny video that anyone's ever sent me. I also noticed that my attention span was improving dramatically. As you've seen through this video, still relapsing a little bit, but for the first time in a while, I've been able to just pick up a book and read for 30 minutes to an hour and not get antsy, not shake my legs. And that has been really great because reading was something that I really, really enjoyed when I was younger. And honestly, the last thing is I've just gained a better sense of self. Rather than being influenced by every opinion under the sun when it comes to family or business or motivation or morning routines or everyday carry or whatever that is, rather than being inundated with all of this crap, essentially, these people trying to bring better into the world, I didn't have to deal with any of that anymore. And so it gave me space to just feel how I felt and to just sit in my own opinions and think about them and be like, well, why do I believe what I believe? And that has been awesome because I feel like I've been able to connect deeper with who I am and the things I believe, and more importantly, why I believe those things. And not just saying, well, I want to grow a business because Alex Hormozy said so, or I want to be a better partner because this influencer on TikTok said that's what you need to do. I wanted to be a better husband because that is what I want to be. I want to be a great dad because, that is what I'm striving to be. And I don't need the influence of outside forces trying to encroach on that. And so I ask you guys, what would happen if you guys quit social media today? If you were to get off social media, just ask yourself the question, like, what might happen to my relationships in my real life? Not my digital life, my real life. How might I fill my time without it? What are some things that I can do outside of social media? Should I go for a walk? Should I pick up a book? Read a book? Book? Ask yourself, how would I stay up to date on the latest news? Or better yet, do I need to? Do you need to? Do you need to know everything that's going on in the world? It's a pretty dreadful world out there. It's been a great way for me to process this, so I've been enjoying filming this video and just talking out loud and outwardly processing my thoughts on this whole situation. Although it's been hard, it has probably been one of the best decisions I've made in a while. So I'll leave you guys with that, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.